All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Around the Bases, new baseball show here on the Gonzo Sports Room Network. I'm Chris Gonzo Gonzalez, joined by the stat guy Dustin Reese. How you doing this morning, Dustin?
Doing well, Chris. Thanks for having me be a part of the show with you.
Oh, you're welcome. Actually, I'm doing better now. We were supposed to start at 9, but we was having some. Well, I was having some technical issues with my microphone, so we got off to a little bit late start. But hey, things like that happen on the first day sometimes.
Right? Whenever you need something to work, 9 out of 10 times it doesn't work.
All right. Well, I figured we'd start today off with the big news that happened over the weekend with Tatis Jr. That happened on Friday, and then also wanted to talk about Ross Mooson taking a perfect game into the ninth inning last night and got it broke up with I think it was a double if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on Tatis?
Personally, I think Tatis has wore out his welcome with San Diego, and you hear the comments that Padres GM AJ Preller has made in the last couple days, and San Diego is not happy with him. They go and sign him to this 12-year, 13-year contract after the 2020 season, ahead of 2021. And not only has he missed more games than he's played, but he's missed games in a stupid manner. Gets in a motorcycle accident this offseason, which is why he has yet to play this season. And now he gets popped for 80 games for breaking the substance abuse policy, which he says he didn't know he took anything. But when you're making $40 million a year, you're giving a list of what you can and cannot put in your body. So I'm sick of those excuses where an athlete says, well, I didn't know this was illegal to take. Well, then how about you look at the list that they give you and figure out what you can take to treat whatever illness you're trying to treat? And I know AJ Preller says that this offseason he needs to see a lot more maturity from Fernando Tatis. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be surprised to see if San Diego tries to ship him off because I think they're just sick of the immaturity from him.
Yeah, I think he's done in San Diego. Um, I think San Diego lucked out by getting Soto because now what they'll probably do is sign Soto to that big deal and get rid of Tatis. So I think they kind of lucked out maybe in that because you're yes, Tatis is a hell of a player, but if he's not mature enough to stay healthy, at least Soto's on the field.
Exactly. And the thing with Tatis, too, and I've said this numerous times after the Padres made the deals that they made, they were more so building for next year and beyond as opposed to this year. So even losing Tatis for the remainder of this season, it is what it is because I think it's like 51 or 52 games that they miss him for this year. So it's not like they're missing him that bad this year, but it's next year that they were building for. And now they're not going to have him for that first month of the season plus next year. What kind of start is San Diego going to get off to next year where they all of a sudden are thinking, what do we do from here? Do we keep Tatis or did we make a mistake getting rid of what we got rid of to get Soto, knowing that Tatis is now in the position that he's in?
Yeah, that's true. And that first month of the season, you can't win a championship in that first month, but you can definitely lose the championship because you can lose your chance of being in the playoffs. I mean, look what the Cincinnati Reds have done this year. That first month, they went like 2 for 23 or something. Since then, They've played 500 baseball. If you take out that first month, they'd be almost tied with St. Louis for the division. But
Exactly.
that first month killed them.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I feel about Tatis. I'm the same way as you. They give you a list. Take that list to the doctor with you. That way, if he wants to give you something to try to help you heal faster or whatever, he can find something that don't have any of them things in it. So I don't like that excuse either because
Well, not only that, like if you're making the kind of money you're making, have like your own personal doctor that you give this list to, and
yeah.
then when you need to be treated for something, call that doctor and be like, "Hey, I have this. I need to be treated with a drug," and then the doctor literally has that list there and gives you something, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yes, I agree 100% on that. There's too many athletes use that excuse. I didn't know what I was putting in my body. Well, that's like you said, when you make millions of dollars, you should know what you're putting in your body. especially when you know that is contingent on not getting in trouble. But let me ask you this: if you were a Tatis teammate, are you more mad about him getting hurt on the motorcycle and missing all the games he's missed already than what you are about this positive test, or would you be more mad about the positive test?
I would honestly be more mad about the motorcycle as opposed to the positive test, just because, yes, the positive test is what it is, but you see a lot of athletes still getting hit for a positive test without actually taking steroids. It's more of they get hit with a positive test because something they're using for whatever reason has some substance in there that Major League Baseball doesn't want. So I think the team is more willing to forgive you for that, even though, yes, you have this list as to what the baseball doesn't want you to take. But if it happens, it happens. More so as you're just getting a lucrative deal for $340 million. Why risk throwing it away by buying a motorcycle and crashing your motorcycle? I mean, look what happened to Jay Williams when he was drafted by the Bulls. Played one season in the NBA, got in a motorcycle accident, never played again.
Yeah. Well, look at Ben Roethlisberger. They thought he might have ended his career back when he had his big
Yep.
motorcycle accident. I agree with you. I'll be more bad about the motorcycle accident because that's more just being real negligent. Where even though I don't like the excuse, like you said, a lot of players get popped for that reason. That they take something for this reason or that reason, and ends up having something that they're not supposed to take. Then
And,
just be. It wasn't like I don't think he was just being that negligent where he was just at his house shooting up steroids or something. You know
no,
what I mean? Now, if he was doing that, then I'd be more mad. But getting on a motorcycle and getting in a wreck and cost you the whole over the first half of the season, to me as a teammate, that's what would bother me more because the Padres teammates are thinking, well, if we had him, think where we'd be right now. We're in the so
and
and
the thing is too, if you're going to give athletes these kind of contracts, there has to be some sort of clause that you can put in there saying you're not allowed to drive a motorcycle or you're not allowed to do this while you're under the contract. And if you break the terms of this contract and get hurt, you owe us however much money for however many games you miss.
from what I heard yesterday, I forget who said it now. It was on the radio show that if the Padres wanted to, they could avoid his contract because I guess there was language in there for non baseball related injury.
Yeah, they could, but I don't think they will. But even at that, let's just say what is he at right now? He's gonna miss roughly, counting this year plus now the 80-game suspension. He's gonna miss basically 190 some games the next 2 seasons, which is more than a full major league season. He should have to give San Diego $34 million back.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. I think when a player gets hurt like that, or even like in the Deshaun Watson case, I think he should have to give money back too. I mean, but that's just not how it works very much anymore. But what'd you think about Rasmussen last night? I was glad they let him come back out because you know how some of these managers are. They'll take you out in the seventh inning if you have a no hitter going. But wasn't able to get the perfect game, but did get the shutout.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, managers nowadays are. I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport to watch, and there's a reason for it just because I think it's the most difficult sport to play. Just because you look at the velocity of the pitches, you look at how many pitchers throw, different movements, and this and that. But managers nowadays play way too much into the analytic side of things, and they do not look at how a pitcher is facing a lineup, even if it is the third time through the order. They don't look at how a pitcher is doing, and I think baseball needs to get away from that. Like, I understand the whole analytics side of things, and I understand that, yes, it always says that third time through the order you're going to get hit. But I have an eye test, and if my eyes are showing me that you're dominating a team 2 times through the lineup, I'm letting you come back out for that third time to see what you can do. And I think baseball needs to get back to the way things were even 10 years ago, back in like 2010, when managers didn't care about pitch counts, when managers didn't care about the whole analytic side of things and letting a guy go 3, 4 times through an order. They need to get back to that and stop trusting the analytics and more so trusting their gut and trusting what their eyes see.
Oh, I agree. I hate the analytics side. Uh, David Bell is one of them managers. As soon as they get through that lineup the second time, he's taking you out basically no matter who you are. I've seen him like maybe once this year leave Castillo in, but most of the time he would take a pitcher out no matter what was happening. And I agree with you. There's a feel to the game when if you're coaching a game or just watching a game. There's a feel to the game that you have to use when you make those decisions, whether to pull a pitcher or to keep him in. You can't just go strictly by numbers. You gotta go how dominant has the guy been up there on the mound, or is he making the batters look silly, or are they starting to hit them? And I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into it, like you said with the eye test. But just to take a guy out purely on numbers, to me, it's bad managing. It just don't make a whole lot of sense. And
Yeah, I mean, there's times too, like a manager takes a pitcher out after 5 innings and he's at like 61 pitches. What's the reason? Because you're facing a lineup for the third time? The guy's at 61 pitches. He can even give you 2 more innings, maybe 3.
yep, and that's why I think we're going to keep seeing less and less of the no hitters and perfect games, which you don't see many perfect games anyway, but even less no hitters than we used to because pitchers just don't get the opportunity. Now you're seeing the combined no hitters or instead of just one pitcher going through. Now you're going to see more of the no hitters where a bullpen comes in and holds it down for the starter.
Yeah.
Commented. Jonathan Mathis, baseball is too damn analytical.
I think every sport has gotten to the point where it's too damn analytical. Even football. Look at Brandon Staley with the Chargers last year. He kept trying to play the analytical percentage game, and it cost them not only the division, but it cost them a playoff spot.
Sad dude. I honestly don't know how he still has a job after calling that timeout in that last game of the season. You have a playoff spot.
He still has a job because it was his first year as a head coach, and they still finished with a winning record. That's why he has a job. It would have been a different scenario where they would have finished with a losing record. Who knows? And I don't think anyone expected the Chargers to be as good as what they were last year. So I think he's got that kind of in his back pocket also. But when you look at the moves they made this year, if they try to pull that again this year, he's not going to be with the job after this year.
No. Do you think the New York Mets is going to be able to get out of the National League? You think they'll be able to get past the Dodgers if in the playoffs?
I've had the Mets as my favorite for a while, mainly because getting Jacob deGrom when they got him was equivalent to making a major trade deadline deal without even having to trade anybody to get that player. And Jacob deGrom has come back and he's starting to pitch like he's never missed a beat, which is absolutely ridiculous when you look at how long he's missed this year. And the thing with the Dodgers is, yes, the Dodgers just had a 12-game winning streak snapped. Yes, they're 34-5 or 34-6 in their last 40 games or whatever. But the Dodgers have been known to do this for the last 5 to 8 years, where they go on a huge winning streak middle of the season. They go on like this big hot streak that goes basically from June through the end of August. And then come September, they have their division wrapped up, where I'm not going to say they don't try, but by the time September comes, they have their division wrapped up, where they can kind of coast into the playoffs and not really play to win at that point. And then they get to the postseason, and that hurts them because they're not playing up to where they were playing when they were having that hot streak. And I can kind of see a similar situation happening this year because the Dodgers have a 15-game lead right now. They're going to have this division pretty much wrapped up by the time September 1st comes, and they're going to be able to probably clinch that division with basically 3 weeks left in the season versus the Mets. The Mets are good. No one's going to say the Mets are not good, but the Braves are playing just as good as the Mets and are only 5 games behind the Mets. So the Mets know that they're going to have to give 100% all the way to that final week of the season when they can clinch. And I think they're going to be more playoff tested than the Dodgers are going to be because of it, because the Dodgers are going to be able to take those last 3 weeks off, kind of, and basically, we don't want Mookie Betts to get hurt. We don't want Clayton Kershaw to get hurt. We don't want you to get hurt. So we're going to sit you guys more now than we were all season just because we have nothing to play for at this point.
And they're gonna rest Kershaw all they can with him having that back.
Yep.
So they're going to try to rest him as much as they can. And to your point, sometimes resting can be a detriment to you because you get out of rhythm. Some guys are, especially if guys are hot at the plate, then you have that rest and you come back. Sometimes you can go into a little bit of a slump trying to get back at it. Especially baseball. I think baseball is the worst sport to take rest in out of any sport because you are up there trying to hit a 100-mile-per-hour ball every time you step up there. And a lot of it has to do with your timing.
Yeah, the other thing the Dodgers have to consider too is Tony Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson, who are having their best seasons by a long shot since they come in the league. But both of them are also reaching their innings limit for the most innings that they've ever thrown in a season. So how are the Dodgers going to handle that final month of the season, trying to keep them fresh by still starting them, but also trying to keep them fresh to the point where they don't overwork them too much heading into the postseason?
Why do you think more people aren't talking about Gonsolin for the Cy Young?
Because of his name. He doesn't have that big market, big ticket name, so he's not going to get like the Cy Young consideration that he should get. And I could say the same thing in the American League with Alek Manoah. Yep. Alek Manoah in Toronto has been arguably the best pitcher in the American League start to finish. But he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because Toronto has not played as well as people expected him to play. And he doesn't have that big name that a lot of the starters that have do. And I said, I think back in June, that my favorites to win the Cy Young in the National League back then were both Anderson and Gonsolin, because Anderson was, I think, 9-1 at the time, and Gonsolin was 11-0 at the time. And yet you don't hear either one of these guys being mentioned in the top four for whatever reason. I think a lot of that has to do with their name. They don't have that big market name, so they're not going to get the recognition they deserve.
Gonsolin, if I remember correctly, was like 14-1 or 15-1, 15-1,
yep.
Something like that in the season.
And Tyler Anderson's like 12-3.
Yeah,
both of them have been like 500 pitchers at best for a majority of their career, and all of a sudden this year they've, for whatever reason, have figured it out. And all of a sudden now it's like, well, you guys have figured it out? Well, now you're not even going to get the recognition you deserve. Yeah, Tyler Anderson is 13-2 with a 2.81 ERA, and Gonsolin's 14-1 with a 2.24. So to have neither one of them mentioned in the top four for the Cy Young voting is just a joke.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either when I was looking. I was like, how is Gonsolin not? Because I break down, or I go through the games every day for the sports betting show, so I see all the averages and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, this dude's having one of the best seasons out of anybody, and nobody talks about it.
Right.
What about the American League? Think anybody's going to be able to compete with the Yankees and Astros?
Well, right now, I think it's the Astros division or Astros conference to lose at this point, because the Yankees aren't playing well. And the Yankees have picked the worst time in the world to start playing poorly. And I don't think anyone expected the Yankees to play as well as they played when they started the season. So you knew there was going to be kind of that gradual cool-off as the year went on, but I don't think anyone expected them to cool off the way they did. And now you have to wonder if they're going to be able to recover in time to get that mojo back heading into the playoffs. And like I picked Toronto to go to the World Series when the season started, and I'm not going to go back on that pick until they lose. But right now, if you just look at how the American League is shaping out, Houston's got to be considered the favorites right now based on the way they're playing.
Yeah. Yeah, the Yankees, ever since the All-Star break, they've really struggled.
Yeah, I think they're 9-15 in their last 24 games or whatever it is.
Yeah, and they're going into a series with the Rays now, and the Rays aren't a bad team.
No. Yeah, just going back by what we were just talking about a couple minutes ago, I just pulled up the odds to win the NL Cy Young right now. And right now, the top three favorites are Sandy Alcantara of the Marlins, Joe Musgrove of the Padres, and Max Fried of the Braves. And of those names, I think Joe Musgrove is like the only one of those three that deserves to be in that conversation.
Yeah, it don't make no sense to me. But a lot of them awards, just like in other sports, the MVPs and stuff, a lot of it comes down to popularity contest a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they don't have that marquee name yet, but
Because if you go all the way back,
it's hard to get a marquee name if you don't get recognition for what you're doing.
yeah, if you go all the way back to 2013 and you look at the Cy Young winners, you have Kershaw in 13, Kershaw in 14, Arrieta in 15, Scherzer in 16 and 17, DeGrom in 18 and 19, Bauer in 20, Burns in 21. All big name starters. You go to the American League in 2012, you had David Price, Scherzer in 13, Kluber in 14, Dallas Keuchel in 15, Porcello in 16, Kluber in 17, Blake Snell in 18, Verlander in 19, Shane Bieber, and then Robbie Ray. So all those names are big name starters that even if they didn't deserve to have the award, they were going to get it if they put up decent enough stats to get it.
What the Mariners? You think the Mariners have enough to make it any kind of threat or be any kind of threat in the playoffs?
I don't even think they even care if they're a threat in the playoffs at this point. I just think they want to get in because they have the longest drought of the professional sports teams right now since 2001 was the last time they got in.
Yeah.
They have the longest drought in hockey compared for NBA, NFL, hockey, all the major sports. They have the longest postseasonless drought at this point. So I think right now they just want to get in. And if they get in, we've already seen it. Once you get in, anything can happen. They are the number 2 wild card team right now. They are a half a game behind the Blue Jays. And I believe they have a game and a half lead ahead of Baltimore where they would be on the outside looking in. So they're in a good position to get in. And even if they get in as that final wild card team, they're still in. Their playoff drought still comes to an end. And then they have a best of 3 series against a team that's in the playoffs. And looking at how the standings are shaping up right now, that best of 3 series would be, I believe, against the Yankees is who they would get in that best of 3. And they've already given the Yankees quite a battle. They might like their chances going into that best of 3.
Yeah, and that's what with the Mariners, if they get in the playoffs, if their bats get hot, they could be real dangerous with the pitching they have.
And they just got Rodriguez back too, so Rodriguez coming back to that lineup is definitely going to help them to that stretch run.
And adding Castillo at the trade deadline,
yep,
was a great move. I wasn't even looking at Seattle as a team that Castillo was going to end up on. I thought it was going to be the Padres, or I'd heard the Cardinals was really trying to get him, but I didn't think that would happen just because
I thought Castillo was going to end up in Toronto is where I thought he was going to end up, and then all of a sudden you saw the package that the Mariners gave the Reds, and I'm like, well, yeah, Cincinnati's going to not passing that up.
Yeah, now let's see if the Reds cannot mess it up. Got like 10 new prospects, and I think 6 of them are shortstops.
Well, if you have that many shortstops, you pretty much know that 3 of them are going to be traded at some point to get different talent.
Yeah, we have a lot of shortstops on the roster right now. I think there's 7 or 8. I think I saw yesterday that we have in the minor league system now.
Yes, that's like the Cubs too. 5 of their top 30 prospects are shortstops. And they've already had one of them move to second base. They have another one they're probably going to move to the outfield next year, so they already know that you're not going to be able to keep all 5 at shortstop.
What do you think a team like the Reds and the Cubs are going to have to do to get back to playing competitive baseball?
Well, the thing the Cubs have to do is spend money because they are the 3rd biggest market in baseball, and yet they're treating their team like they are a small market team. And now the owner, Tom Ricketts, has said they are going to spend money next year, which fans don't believe anything he says at this point because everything he's told fans the last couple of years ago have been the exact opposite of what he said. So until fans actually see what he's saying is true, they're not going to believe him. But if that team starts spending money, I think they'll be in contention again next year just because their farm system is in a much better place than what it was last year already. They do have talent on their roster right now. I mean, you look at the pitching rotation that they have right now. Keegan Thompson has proven to be a legitimate starter that's a part of that future. Marcus Stroman, they still have. Justin Steele, those three are going to be back next year for sure in that rotation. You still have Kyle Hendricks, who's hurt right now, but you could use him as your number 4 starter next year as opposed to your ace. Then you got guys like Seiya Suzuki. You have Nelson Velasquez, who you brought up this year. You have Madrigal, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Wilson Contreras. So they have some talent on that team where if they would just spend money to fix third base, spend money to fix center field and some of these other positions, they'd be in a much better position.
See, that's the same way I feel about the Cincinnati Reds too. Because if you look like last year, we were barely missed the playoffs, and then we just get rid of everybody. And it's like if we just spend some money, we could compete. And even like I was saying early, the team this year, after that first month, hasn't played terrible.
No, they haven't. They haven't played terrible at all, and that's I think the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Like as much as I love not having a salary cap in baseball, because you look at the contracts that these baseball teams are getting, there's no way that you could have a salary cap in baseball when you see how much these players are making. But this is also the same reason why I think baseball needs a salary cap, just because if teams are going to refuse to spend money to make their teams competitive, much like the Cubs did this year, much like kind of the situation that the Reds are in, and like even the Oakland Athletics, for example, their payroll is $31 million. Like if you're going to refuse to spend money to make your team better, then they need to put a salary cap in play to force these teams to be better, because you make a salary cap, let's just say $250 million, for example. The Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros are all screwed because they have salary caps over $300 million. The Padres have a salary cap over $300 million. So you make this salary cap $250 million. A lot of these players that are on the Padres, the Dodgers, the Astros are now going to be free agents, and other teams are going to have to sign them. So these teams that may not have been spending money before are going to be forced to spend some sort of money because they're going to have all these big name free agents on the market that you're going to want to have.
What do you think about the teams that aren't trying to spend money and competing? Why do you think if you, because like you said, it could be hard to do a salary cap. What if there's a minimum? What if they put some like a minimum that you got that your salary has to be?
The only issue that I have with that, and I don't know how familiar you are with kind of like the minor leagues and how like the minor league like pay is and all that. Let's just say you have a team that has a lot of prospects on there. Your prospects are still only getting paid what they're getting paid. So yes, you can set like a minimum salary cap saying a team has to be at $70 million as your minimum salary cap. But where's that $70 million going to come from if you have a roster that's primarily made up of prospects that are making less than $1 million? That's kind of where that's tough for baseball, just because of the way, unlike football, who doesn't have like a minor league system, unlike hockey, who really only has the AHL, and the NBA only has the G League, you have a 5-level minor league system that you go through, and each level that you reach, your pay is different.
Yeah.
So you look at the Baltimore Orioles, for example. Now that they got rid of Trey Mancini, they don't have anybody on that roster making more than $7 million. That's because a lot of that roster is still players that are under their minor league contract. So even if you set a minimum salary cap, if you're calling prospects up who deserve to be up, obviously, but if you're calling prospects up that are still under that minor league contract, you're still not going to hit that minimum salary cap because they're still only getting paid what they're getting paid.
Speaking of that, do you think that the minor league system needs to be redone and not have 5 different levels?
I actually don't. I like the minor league system the way it is. I like kind of seeing everybody develop at their own rate, at their own pace, because everybody is going to develop at their own pace. And if you're a top prospect, well, then obviously you're going to take probably 2-3 years to get to the major leagues. And if you're kind of one of those lower tier draft picks like that was drafted in round 20, it might take you 4 or 5 years to get through. So I like the way the minor league system is. There are things that I would like to tweak, obviously, and one of the things that I would like to tweak is get rid of the stupid 6-game series that they have right now. And I understand why minor league baseball did it. They wanted to cut down on travel, and they kind of wanted to just make things more easy on the players. But when you're facing a team 6 times in a week, the starter that pitches game 1 on Tuesday is going to pitch game 6 on Sunday, So you're going to get that same pitcher twice. You're literally going to see everybody in that bullpen probably 2 or 3 times during the week. So it's no mystery as to what you're going to see by the end of that series, as opposed to when you had these 3 or 4 game series. You may not have to see everybody the team has to offer, and then you might not have to face them for another month down the road, and you might see people that you didn't see the first time you faced them. I don't like seeing a team 6 times in a week. I like the 3-4 game series, although I do understand why minor league baseball did what they did.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understood why they did it, but I agree with you. I don't like the 6 game series either. That's too many times to play a team in a row.
Yeah, and I've interviewed people that feel I've interviewed people that say they like it just because of the whole less travel. You know where you're going to be for a week. You're either going to be at your place for a week or you're going to be at another venue for a week. It's no more of these 8 or 9 game road trips going to 3 different cities. It's like you're going to be in this city for a week, and then Monday's your travel day, and then you're going to be in this city for the next 6 days. So they like it at that point. And then some of the players I talked to kind of said the same thing. They like it because of the familiarity they're going to have with the team by versus game 4, game 5 of that 6 game series. You're pretty much going to know exactly what that team has. But that's another reason why they don't like it, just because they want to see other competition. They want to
Yeah.
see teams. And because they've gone to this 6 game series format, you're only seeing 10 or 12 teams a year now. You're not like back in the AAA. For Double A and Single A is a little bit different because you're only playing teams kind of within your division, within your like region.
Yeah.
But AAA used to face all 29 AAA teams. It was pretty much the same type of schedule the Major League Baseball would do, except just obviously less games. Now in AAA, you're playing like 10 teams a year, and
Yeah.
you're literally just playing everybody in the International League or just playing everybody in the Pacific Coast League. You're not cross divisioning like you used to, and I think that kills a lot of rivals because teams like Iowa used to be in the Pacific Coast League, and now they moved over to the International League, but they're not facing the teams they used to face in the Pacific Coast League all the time anymore.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that because like I'll look at to go watch the Indianapolis Indians here. 'Cause it's only about 45 minutes away, but I'll look at the schedule and it seems like every time I look, they're playing the same damn team. And it's like, well, I've already seen this team. I don't want. I want to go to a different game.
Yeah, and that's the part that just
Maybe Fort Wayne Tin Caps.
yeah, like that's the part that you're like the Midwest League is. I'm happy with the Midwest League because I think there's 14 teams in that league, 2 divisions of 7, I believe. So they're still facing those 13 teams all year. That's a little bit different because you're at least getting to see 13 teams. But when you're used to seeing 28, 29 teams a year in AAA and now you're only seeing 10, like what is that going to do for you in terms of competition? Because if you have 7 really good teams that are kicking the crap out of the other 3 teams, I mean, Iowa right now, for example, is 11 games under 500. But against the bottom 4 in their division, they're 6 games over. And against the top 6 in their division, they're 17 games under because the top 6 are all playoff contending teams. You go to the other league, the International League, they'd probably be a 3rd or a 4th place team right now because they would be more on those teams' levels. But it's just the way the scheduling works now. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, well, folks, that's going to be. We're getting toward the end of the first episode here. We got, like I said, we got off to a late start, which was my fault because I couldn't get my damn mic to work. But well, Stat Guy, before we get out here, you got any final thoughts?
No, if you like baseball, Wednesday's your day to start watching because the Little League World Series officially starts Wednesday. I know regionals and things have been going on the last week and a half, but the actual Little League World Series will start Wednesday. It's actually a bigger field this year. This is the first year that they've expanded the field from 16 to 20 teams. So you have 2 more American teams and 2 more international teams that got put into the fold. And I don't know about you, but the Little League World Series and the College World Series are 2 of my favorite baseball events to follow during the year.
Oh yeah, me too. That's all I watched last week was Little League regionals, and that's all. Once Wednesday hits, I think the team from Indiana plays on Wednesday, and they're only about Hagerstown's like 30 to 35 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah, they do not. Nope, they do not play Wednesday.
Well, then maybe it's Thursday then.
Yeah, Hagerstown, Indiana plays Thursday against Davenport, Iowa
Okay, I saw the Iowa team play. That'd probably be a pretty good game.
at 2 o'clock on Thursday. Wednesday's games are Nicaragua and Curacao first, And then Nolensville, Tennessee versus Middlesbrough, Massachusetts. Then you have Australia and Canada. And then you have Hawaii and Washington.
The Hawaii team is tough.
That Hawaii team, yeah, I don't even. Did you see some of the size of those kids on the Hawaii team? That one pitcher is like 5'11".
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, they were pounding the ball in the regionals.
Yeah.
We'll talk some little league on Wednesday as well, because that's all I'll be watching once it starts. I love the little league, the same way like the College World Series. I enjoy watching it as well. I want to thank everybody for joining us for our first episode of Around the Bases. We will be back
probably Wednesday, because I won't be here tomorrow.
Probably Wednesday. We'll plan on 9 again. Shouldn't have no technical issues. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we will see you guys Wednesday morning.